Hare Krishna. So we'll begin now. Thank you once again for joining in. Let's offer our prayers together and then we'll look into it. Huh? Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashatai Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Go Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Tablet Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna. So we're going to begin our discussion today from chapter 6. Yesterday we discussed chapter 5, how to approach God. There were three key points for discussed. First of all, one God versus many God. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established. Although many say that Puranas established different devtas to be the supreme, but it is not correct. If we carefully study Puranas, even they identify that Vishnu or Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead, whereas Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, very straightforwardly or clearly, highlights Krishna to be the Eka Parama Krishna, like this. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talks about it. Why Purana still makes such kind of an ambiguous discussion? It's just because there are many neophytes, not neophyte bhaktas, but neophytes, who are new to the path of religion, who want to approach just because of their material desires. So they cannot really take shelter of Vishnu. They want their material desires to be fulfilled quickly. Therefore, for those people to guide them and to help them move forward, therefore, scriptures talk about taking shelter of different devtas for different desires. So gradually they get purified and Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevam Sarvamati Samahatma Sa Dulva. Eventually, in one lifetime or some lifetime, they'll come to understand this. And then we quoted second canto. We quoted both first and second canto. First canto, when different incarnations were mentioned, then Sutta Goswami says, Ete Chamsa Kalhapumsa Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. There's a very detailed analysis of this verse is done in the Adi Leela by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, grammatically, philosophically, everything. I'm not going to go into that over here right now. How Krishna is a supreme person in Godhead. Nonetheless, all these incarnations which I have described, Sutta Goswami says, they're just Amsha or Kalapamsha. The supreme is Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Then second canto also the same concept comes when in the third or the fourth chapter of second canto, different devtas are mentioned. If you want a good wife, approach Lord Shiva. Or if you want a beautiful husband, you approach, Devi, etc., etc. Whatever details are there. If you want wealth, you want intelligence, you want health, you approach this devta, that devta, and all that. All those verses are given in the second canto. And after this, doing all this thing,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu has got logged out, so we'll wait for Prabhuji to re-log in. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. How long ago did I disappear? Just now? Okay, ठीक है. So what was speaking? Yeah, I was making a point about, yeah, that was the first concept which we discussed yesterday. And then Sanatana Goswami asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about Lord Shri Krishna's various forms, his ultimate unlimited opulences. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke about material and spiritual world, or the energies. And then he discussed a very important concept of Ashraya and Ashrita. Krishna is Ashraya, the shelter giver. Ashrita, everyone else is shelter seeker. Just imagine even the Sputnik or the satellite or the space shuttle that we fire from the planet Earth, for it to, कहते हैं, what do you say, for it to launch itself again, has to take shelter of some place, isn't it? You getting the concept? For the space shuttle to launch itself again, has to take shelter. It cannot launch itself from the space. It has to land on some planet or some place and then launch itself again. That's the nature. Everything is shelter seeker here. This was an example long ago, is known as Rupa Swami Maharaj gave us once. Like that was a discussion. Uh-huh. Then how do we know God, or how do we understand God? That's the subject matter comes next. Then the nature of the Lord is Satchitananda. Sat feature is understood by philosophical speculation, Jnana Sat plus Chit feature is understood by yoga, Ashtanga yoga, and Sat plus Chit plus Ananda. The full realization of the absolute truth is known only through bhakti. That was the subject matter we discussed yesterday. Now let's begin our discussion with chapter 6, various forms of the Lord. Oops, let me share the screen. What happened? Oh, sharing screen came. All right, so I'll have to write something before all of you can understand that. Some issue or something with laptop or something. Zoom doesn't function properly at times. Finally, it came. Can anyone confirm if the screen is visible? Okay. Oh, Ranga. All right. Okay. Let's go here. This was a previous discussion. Drawing a straight line. We're going on chapter 6 now. This is chapter 6. So this is the subject matter which we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita also in detail. So Lord Shri Krishna manifests himself in 3 ways. We decide Lord has unlimited forms. So there are 3 ways Lord expands. This is explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami. What are 3 ways? First is called Swayam Rupa. Swayam. This is his fundamental form. This is what he has in Goloka Vrindavan. Then is Tadik Atma Rupa. And then Avesh Rupa. Avesh Rupa generally refers to avatars. We'll come to that. Oh, there is no space only here. I made a mistake. Is there a way I can cut it? Anyone has used this before? How do I select? अब इरेजर तो इरेज करेगा, इरेजर क्या बता रहे हैं? If anyone have used, then fine. If not, there's no point. I believe it was, we can cut it out. Okay. Nobody is okay. Nobody have used it, then fine. ठीक है, so I'll use short forms here. I'll call it SR. My mistake. TR. Tadik Atma Rupa and Avesh Rupa. Let's talk about here. Then this Swayam Rupa is, actually this is true for all, but still take a look. Swayam Rupa is further divided into two, called as Prabhav and Vaibhav. So Prabhav refers to Lord's four-handed form. This is not Vishnu necessarily. This is not that, because Vishnu have not expanded right now. This four-handed form is the form which Krishna had shown to Mother Devaki in the Kalagraha. That is called as Prabhava form. If in case you want to get into more details, that's the point here. Vaibhava form refers to his various forms he takes in his Goloka Vrindavan, Dwarka, and Mathura. These are called as, in English, Prabhupada translates as emotional or rasa. And Balramji is an expansion of this form. We'll take a look at Vrindavan also in short. Then there is Tadik Atma Rupa, which is also further divided into two. That is Swamsa and Vilas. So Swamsa Tadikatma Rupa and Vilas Tadikatma Rupa, like this. And these forms are further divided as Prabhav and Vaibhav. So from here comes, this Prabhav is a four-handed Vishnu form. So from here comes the first original Vasudev, Anirudh, Sankarshan, and Pradyumna. And this कहते हैं Vaibhav Vilas Tadekatma Rupa form is the 24 permutation and combination of. So how Vishnu is, according to the position of chakra, the lotus, the conch, and the club, the different positions gives different names to Vishnu. So from those different positions, we have 24 forms of the Vishnus here. Vasudev, Anirudh, Sankarshan, and Pradyumna, like this. Then we have Swamsha. From here comes Prabhav. So from here comes original Sankarshan. Lord Shiva's east is Sankarshan. Lord Ram appears from Sankarshan. So that's the thing. And Vaibhava form refers to here, Vaibhava Swam Shatade Atma Rupa is the avatar. How many types of avatars are there? There are 6 types of avatars. Anyone remembers? Guna avatar, Leela avatar, Purusha avatar, Shakti Avesh, What else? Manvantara and Yugavatar. And finally comes our Avesh Rupa. Gauranga. Avesh Rupa means this particularly refers to Shakti Avesh Avatar. You can call Narad Muni, Prathu Maharaj, etc., etc. Those are Avesh Rupa. These are Shakti Avesh Avatar. So this combination doesn't end here. This further have their own expansions. These all have different expansions. Like this, it leads to unlimited forms of Vishnu, permutation and combination like this. So this is a little introduction to the subject matter. Now with this little background here, we can read. So once again, Lord expands in three ways: Swayam Rupa, Tadikatma Rupa, Avesh Rupa. Swayam Rupa are the forms generally we find of Krishna in Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka Leela. With that as a little background, let's start our reading now. All right. I'm sharing the screen. Are you there, Abhishek? Your co-host? I'm not able to share the screen here. So I hope all of you have the book. By devotion service, one can understand Krishna first of all. That Krishna first of all manifests himself as Swayam Rupa, his personal form, then as Tadika Atma Rupa, then as Avesh Rupa. It is in these three features that he manifests himself in his transcendental form. You can sign in from here and give Madam Medhavani sharing rights. Okay. Share screen, come. You can give that sharing rights to Madam Medhavani or make her co-host so she can share. The feature of Swayam Rupa is the form by which Krishna can be understood by one who may not understand his other features. In other words, the form by which Krishna is directly understood is called Swayam Rupa. The Tadika Rupa is that form which most resembles the Swayam Rupa, but there are some differences in the bodily features. The Tadik Atma Rupa is divided into two manifestations: Swamsha, personal expansion, and Vilas, which is pastime expansion. As far as Avesh Rupa is concerned, when Krishna empowers some suitable living entity to represent him, that living entity is called Avesh or Shaktya Avesh Avatar. All right, somebody like to read the next paragraph? Go ahead. Okay. Nothing is possible. I'll have to read only now. I'm not able to make much changes in the Zoom. Okay. The personal form of Krishna can be divided into two: Swayam Rup and Swayam Prakash. Actually, I would need to toggle between this and the screen. This will become very difficult for all of you. Share screen. You know why? Because I'm sharing screen here. I'm removing this HDMI. It is working now, peacefully, hopefully. All right, so when we are reading it, we'll take a look at it. Okay. And yes, it's all working now. Chalo, shuru ho jao. दे रहा हूँ permission. दे रहा हूँ. ठीक है. Now you can unmute.
The personal form of Krishna can be divided into two.
Can anyone confirm if sound is audible online? Okay, good. Go ahead.
Swayam Rupa and Swayam Prakasha. As far as his Swayam Rupa or pastime form is concerned, it is in that form that he remains always in Vrindavan with the inhabitants of Vrindavan. This personal form, Swayam Rupa, can be further divided into the Prabhava and Vaibhava forms.
So when we are reading it, I'm just gonna point over here so it becomes easy for you to see what's happening here. Yes, continue.
For instance, Krishna expanded himself in multiple forms during the Rasa dance in order to dance with each and every gopi who took part in forms in order to accommodate his 16,108 wives. There are some instances of great mystic also
All right.
expanding.
So, what is the point here now? Very interesting point is mentioned. So, it is said that 100 crore gopis were there in Rasalila, and Rasalila happened for the whole day of Brahma's duration. So, did Krishna manifested himself 100 crore times? Yes. Now, question comes: was it the same Krishna or unique? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, quoting example of Dwarka, when Narad Muni visited, there were 16,100 queens at that point of time, and Narad Muni saw that Krishna has expanded himself 16,000 times, but that was not the show of a magic, a show of a mystic. Like Kadamuni expanded himself into 9 forms. In fact, in case of Krishna, each of Krishna were unique and independent. So the Rasalila, when Krishna danced with the gopis, each Krishna danced with gopi and each was unique. So like this, there are unlimited forms of the Lord. That is the point which is mentioned here. So he did not expand himself. And the example of Shaubari Rishi is given like that. Then example of Dwarka is given. Going to the next paragraph, the same paragraph in the last few lines. These different activities are conducted by the Lord when, so in what form does he conduct these different activities? This is called as Vaibhava Swayam Rupa form. In Vaibhava, Prakash expansions. Similarly, there are other unlimited expansions of the forms of Krishna, but even when they are divided or expanded without limit, they're still one and same. There's no difference between one form and another. That is the absolute nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, 2 examples were given. One was of Dwarka, and comparison was made, and Dwarka and Rasalila, and comparison was made by mystics expanding themselves. Now, another example comes is of Akrura. When Akrura was bringing Krishna from, you can say, Nandagaon, was taking Krishna from Nandagaon to Mathura, on the way, they decided to halt, and Krishna and Balaram went to take bath in Yamuna. At that time, when Akrura went there, what he saw is described in the next paragraph. Let's take a look. Please read.
In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that when Akrura was accompanying both Krishna and Balram from Gokul to Mathura, he entered into the waters of the Yamuna river and could see in the waters all the planets in the spiritual sky. He also saw there the Lord in his Vishnu form, as well as Narada and the 4 Kumaras who were worshipping him, as is stated in Bhagavad Puran. Anya che samskartatmano vidhin vidhitena te yajanti tvam vai bahumurti ekamurtikam. There are many worshippers who are purified by different processes of worship, such as the Vaishnavas or the Aryans, who are worship, who also worship the Supreme Lord according to their convictions and spiritual understanding. Each process of worship involves understanding different forms of the Lord, as mentioned in the scriptures, but the ultimate idea is to worship the Supreme Lord Himself.
Continue.
In his Vaibhav Prakash feature, the Lord manifests himself as Balram. The Balram feature is as good as Krishna himself. The only difference being that the bodily hue of Krishna is dark and that of Balram is fair. The Vaibhava Prakash form was also displayed when Krishna appeared before his mother Devaki in the four-handed form of Narayana, just when he entered the world. At the request of his parents, however, he transformed himself into a two-handed form. Thus, he sometimes manifests 4 hands and sometimes two. The two-handed form is actually Vaibhav Prakash and the four-handed form is Vaibhav Prakash. Prabhava Prakash. In his personal form, Krishna is just like a cowherd boy and he thinks of himself in that way. But when he is in the Vasudev form, he thinks of himself as the son of Kshatriya and acts as a princely administrator.
All right. Now in the two-handed form, let's see. We had some hands up there. Kaushal Prue, go ahead, read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Is it audible? Is it audible, Prabhuji?
Sorry?
Is it audible? My voice is
Yeah, yeah,
audible?
yeah. It's audible, audible.
Okay. In his two-handed form as the cowherd son of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna fully exhibits his opulence, beauty, wealth, attractiveness, and pastimes. Indeed, in some Vaishnava literature, it is found that sometimes in his form as Vasudev, he becomes attracted to his form of Govinda in Vrindavan. Thus, as Vasudev, he sometimes desires to enjoy, as Govinda does, although the Govinda form and the Vasudev form are ultimately one and the same. In this regard, there is a passage in the Lalit Madhav 4.19 in which Krishna addresses Uddhav as follows. My dear friend, the form of this cowherd boy Govinda attracts me. Indeed, I wish to be like the damsels of Raja, who are also attracted by this form of Govinda. Similarly, later in Lalit Madhav 8.34, Krishna says, Oh, how wonderful it is! Who is this person? After seeing him, I am so much attracted that I now desire to embrace him just like Radhika.
Continue.
There are also forms of Krishna that are little different from his original
I hope
form.
all of you are able to follow through a little bit. You might have to read a few times if you're too much interested in details. Otherwise, chant Hare Krishna, be happy. You know? So it depends on your intellectual level, what you want to explore. Please go ahead.
And these are called Tad Ekatma Rupa forms. These may be further divided into the Vilasa and Swamsha forms, which in turn have many different features and can be divided into
So just one
Prabhav and
second.
Vaibhav forms.
Madam Vidavani, I'll just share that screen. Sorry for that. So when you're reading, it becomes easy. So this is the Tadik Atma form, Swamsha and Vilash. Please continue.
As far as Vilas forms are concerned, there are innumerable Prabhav Vilasas, headed by Krishna's expansions as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna,
So
and
Vilas
Aniruddha.
means pastime forms. Swamsha refers to an expansion. Okay. So Vilas. And that there is क्या कहते हैं प्रभाव and Vaibhava form. Vaibhava form is further emotional or Leela forms. That is what we describe. Please go ahead.
Sometimes the Lord thinks of himself as a cowherd boy, and sometimes he thinks of himself as Vasudev's son, a Kshatriya prince. And this thinking of Krishna is called his pastimes. Actually, he is in the same form in his Vaibhav Prakash and Prabhav Vilas, but he appears differently as Krishna and Balram. His expansions as Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha are the original Chaturvyuha or four-armed forms.
Okay, continue.
There are innumerable four-armed manifestations in different planets and different places. For instance, they are manifested in Dwarka and Mathura eternally. From the original four-handed forms are manifested the 24 principal four-armed forms, which are called Vaibhav Vilas. They are named differently according to the placement of the conch, club, lotus, and disc.
We are here. So this is the original Vasudev, Anirudh, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, which is called as your Prabhav Vilas Tadek Atma Rupa. And now this further expands into 24 forms, which is Vaibhava Vilas form. That is what is being discussed right now. There manifests the principal 24 forms called Vaibhava Vilas Rupa. Please continue. And what is the difference? The difference is just in the combination of different hand holding different conch, mace, lotus, and disc like this. Continue.
The same four principal manifestations of Krishna are found on each planet in the spiritual sky known as Narayan Loka or Vaikuntha Loka. In Vaikuntha Loka, Krishna is manifested in the four-handed form of Narayan. From each Narayan are manifested the forms of Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Thus, Narayan is the center, and the four forms of Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha surround the Narayan form. Each of these 4 forms again expands into 3, and these all have different names beginning with Keshava. These forms are 12 in all, and again, they are known by different names according to the placement of the symbols in their hands.
So Narayan is the center from whom this Vasudev, the Chaturvya form expands, and each of these forms further expand into 3. That makes 12. Om Keshvaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Vasudevaya Namaha, Om Vishnave Namaha, Madhusudana Namaha, Tripura. These are the 12 forms which are coming, these are the 12 names which are coming from these Chaturvyuha forms. Continue.
As far as the Vasudeva form is concerned, the 3 expansions manifested from him are Keshava, Narayana, and Madhava.
So very
The
easy to
3
remember. If you just want to memorize this for the sake of memorizing, so we're talking about Vasudev, right? So Vasudev, Anirudh, Sankarshan, Pradyumna. So what are the 3 expansions of Vasudev? Om Keshvaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha. Then we have Sankarshan, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Vishnave Namaha, Om Shri Madhusudanaya Namaha. Then we have Pradyumna. Then Om Trivikramaya Namaha, Om Vamanaya Namaha, Om Shri Dharaya Namaha. And then we have Anirudh. Om Rishikeshaya Namaha, Om Padmanabhaya Namaha, Om Damodaraya Namaha. Like this. The subject matter is actually of a is what should I say? Bhakti Vidya Purna Swami Maharaj back in those days used to speak everything in relation to Chaturvyuha. I guess yesterday we were making a point before concluding. We'll make a point now also when we go to the next chapter. The 12 months of the year are also named after these 12 forms. November, Om Keshvaya Namaha, Keshva. Om Narayana Namaha, December. Like this, you have 12 months. It's not about 12 months and 12 this thing. Everything in this creation is centered around this formula of Narayana expanding into Chaturvyuha. Even your atomic structure. You can go and study that. Everything that we do, that we seek, all the capacity that comes, that any strength that we have that comes in us, that comes because of this Chaturvyuha. Therefore, you will see it many times when Krishna was in danger. Mother Yashoda used to, chant these prayers. If you see, remember that. Like that, this is kind of just a little bit information on it. Let's go to chapter number 7. We'll just read the first paragraph and we'll conclude from there for today. All right. Mother Madhavani, you want to read the first paragraph? Next chapter, Unlimited Forms of Godhead.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Danathanam Prabhu. Chapter 7, Unlimited Forms of Godhead. According to the Vaishnava Almanac, the 12 months of the year are named according to the 12 Vaikuntha forms of Lord Krishna, and these forms are known as the predominating deities for the 12 months. This calendar begins with the month of Margasirsha, which is equivalent to late November and early December. The Vaishnavas call this month Keshava. December, January is called Narayana. January, February, Madhava. February, March.
We kind of, these are the details which we discussed about. I hope you got that. Let's go to the next paragraph now, because each month has been highlighted with the name. I already spoke about it. Let's do the next paragraph. We'll pause for that. Yes, go ahead.
Just as the months of the year are known according to the 12 different names of the Supreme Lord, members of the Vaishnava community mark 12 parts of the body according to these names. For instance, the tilaka mark on the forehead is called Keshava, and on the stomach, chest, and arms, the other names are also given. These are the same names as those given in the months. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha expand into 8 additional Vilasa Murtis. Their names are Purushottama, Achyuta, Narasimha, Janardhana, Hari, Krishna, Adokshaja, and Upendra. Adokshaja and Purushottama are the Vilasa forms of Vasudeva. Similarly, Upendra and Achyuta are the Vilasa forms of Sankarshana. Narasimha and Janardhana, the Vilasa forms of Pradyumna. And Hari and Krishna, the Vilasa forms of Aniruddha. This Krishna is different from the original Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We can close the screen. So we are trying to dive into the subject matter of infinity. We're trying to study the infinite, trying to find out who is who. With this little introduction, you will have understood. Srila Prabhupada was so nice and so kind to us. He just gave us a mantra and told Krishna is the Supreme Lord worship. Don't go on the Jnana Marg to study about who is who. Our whole life will go in counting the names of Vishnus only. So many Vishnus like this. Okay, so with that, we'll pause here. We'll take the subject matter tomorrow onwards. Tomorrow is Thursday. So we'll read tomorrow. So further discussion is about Swamsha, like this. And there will be discussion on Avtaras. We'll see that tomorrow. So, but the point here that kind of got highlighted for me, that how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a detailed discussion with Sanatana Goswami. This is not something, maybe these are part of some scriptures, I don't know, but doesn't seem to be so vividly described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Concepts are given. Bhagavad Gita just speaks very briefly about it. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took time to explain all these concepts and details to Sanatana Goswami, which means if you want to really understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, the texts and writings of our acharyas become so important to read them. But before we can read them, at least we should strive to read Prabhupada books first. Not once, at least 2 to 3 times. So we have understood something of it, and then we can read. In other words, everything that we need to know about the Lord has been provided by our acharyas, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the last point, just like Krishna says in 4th chapter, verse number 2, Evam parampara praptam imam raj rishayo vidusa kalane hamahato yogunashta parantapa. Something like that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. He re-established dharma. If you see 500 years ago, of course, Madhvacharya had come, Ramanujacharya had come, Vishnu Swami had come. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us the highest and the easiest process to attain the highest dharma. And it is he who only said, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Eva, Kevalam, Kalo Nashta, Eva Nashta, Eva Nashta, Eva Gatir, Anitha. So all these discussions that we are having here is not to titillate our intelligence, but is somewhere, somehow, it should strengthen our faith in the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. This will strengthen, our faith. It should strengthen our Sambandha Gyan. That Krishna is that one supreme personality of Godhead, who we can understand through the process of chanting Hare Krishna. That should be the goal of this discussion. Should be seen from that perspective. So we have this Kartik month. The auspicious month have started. So once again, those who are not chanting 16 rounds should take to 16 rounds. Those who are chanting 16 rounds should at least chant 24 rounds. As Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj is saying, devotees take a vow to chant 64 rounds, 48, 32, at least minimum 24 rounds. Take out time in this month. You can make a list of things that you would like to avoid in this month. That is called as sacrifice. So everyone can do this exercise. Although Kartik already started 3 or 4 days ago. So, but I thought I'll take a moment today. Everyone can make a list of things that are actually into the wasteful quadrant, which waste our time. And I'm consciously going to avoid those wasteful activities in this month. I'm going to replace it with chanting more. Because when we make this conscious attempt, and then when we make a sankalpa, then we can do that. And if we can do it for a month, then we can do it for a year, and then we can do it for a whole life. Once again, it's an auspicious month. The wind is in our favor. If we take any vow, we'll get really, really required strength to fulfill that. Don't take vows which are insurmountable. If you are a sweet lover, don't start with the vow, I will not take sweet. Better take a vow that I'll chant 8 rounds more. That is a better vow than to make such a vow. If you are a fan of prajalpa and gossip, it would be a good vow to speak less, hear more. Or those who speak too much and speak often, Probably a good vow would be maybe speak less and hear more, like that, so then we can become a little more Krishna conscious. That's the point about it. All right, with that, we pause here for today. Thank you all for your joining in. We'll meet tomorrow again at 4 o'clock for Japa, and then rest of the program follows until 8:30 or 8:45. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki. I'll have a quick interaction with the youth from a Blue Ridge Center. Everyone else can sign